Great afternoon, everyone, and welcome to New Hampshire for Bretton Woods 75, commemorating the 75th anniversary of the Bretton Woods Monetary Conference. We truly cannot thank you enough for being here. This place is by no means easy to get to, and you'll soon discover it's not easy to leave. But it was not chosen for its remote nature or its stunning estate. We chose it for its great historical significance, and in the hopes that we could harness that energy to see ourselves as able to shape history once again. Yeah. 75 years ago, 700 men gathered here to design a framework for global economic cooperation that they hoped would end world wars. Across the seas for another year, millions would still perish in gas chambers, on battlefields, and under nuclear clouds, with entire economies geared towards that destruction. In an era so deeply etched with our worst, this gathering was intended to be our best. Our ability to discuss and debate and to forge a healthy path forward for all. I came across Bretton Woods, like many of us perhaps, in a high school textbook, a line memorized for an exam and then forgotten. I later went to college, not far from here actually, at Dartmouth. Dartmouth? I thought so. Always. Where I again heard of Bretton Woods in an economics class that I would quickly drop out of. Of all the majors that I tried on for size, economics had the least appeal. It was the major, I thought, for investment bankers, for businessmen, for the Wall Street crowd, for the quants who loved graphs. I had always loved stories and culture. And I thought, like many still do, that these disciplines are distinct from economics. Just as we are taught not to mix business with friendship, we are taught that economics is a science and not an art. But our economy is so much more than a set of equations with ever-changing variables. Our economy encompasses the totality of human collaboration, everything that we do. And so in it, also, our entire humanity. Fundamentally, our economy is a belief system about what is valuable, what is possible, what is fair, and what is right. Stories and culture are not only a part of economics, they are the heart of economics. What we believe and what we value are the baseline calculations, on top of which all the models inherently rest. In graduate school, now determined to understand the story of economics, Bretton Woods would appear again as the banking and the euro crises rocked global finance. In FDR's inaugural address to the gathering right here, he said, "Economic diseases are highly communicable. It follows, therefore, that the economic health of every country is a proper matter of concern to all its neighbors, near and distant." In 2008, it was clear like never before that the interconnectedness of our national economies make anyone's problem everyone's problem. Though I left asking, what is value, I returned to my native Silicon Valley asking, what is money? And when you ask this question, again, Bretton Woods isn't far behind. Because although we have good answers for what money is, it's a store of value, it's a unit of exchange, we call it a tool for human collaboration. The question of how money works is much more nuanced. Who issues it? How much of it is there? How is it distributed into society? How much does it cost? How is one money converted for another money? In an increasingly global economy, it's imperative that all of our money is interoperable. In 1944, they came to Bretton Woods to agree how money would work. My team and I discovered a proposal that was made here, left on the cutting room floor of negotiations, which you'll soon hear more about from Dr. Ben Steele, acclaimed author of The Battle of Bretton Woods. The proposal was called Bancor, made by the British economist John Keynes. And although it was dead on arrival here, it changed our lives forever. The original Bancor was suggested as a global reserve currency, an anchor currency that would allow national currencies to have predictable exchange rates to each other, encouraging trade, which was assumed to lessen conflict. It was conceived as a supranational currency, not owned by any nation, and distributed to all nations in accordance with their trade balances. Keynes believed this was a fair way to establish the post-war economic order and would help jumpstart weak economies and small economies without heavy reliance on a specific nation's currency. While there is so much more to the politics behind the original conference, we were inspired by this path not taken in our emerging world of digital currencies to try and create a more balanced, more accessible framework that was more friendly to small and new economies. We hope that a digital Bancor could serve a similar trade balancing function for communities to what Keynes had imagined for nations. We pored over scholarship on local and community currencies, and we were moved by the work of renowned monetary theorist, Professor Bernard Lietaer. He would later become the president of our Bancor Foundation, and he would have so loved to be here with us today. Some of his books, such as Rethinking Money and The Future of Money, demonstrated how local forms of money could create real abundance for people around the world and lead to more resilient economic ecosystems that are more similar to the ones we find in nature, with multiple sources of energy that are complementary. Our Bancor was a technical solution to the problem that all these local currencies face, the same problem faced by the delegates here at Bretton Woods. If one form of money is not interoperable with another form, over time, it isn't valuable at all. We no longer live in isolated, self-sufficient economies, and we need this collaboration to work together. How can all these monies coexist? Healthy cooperation requires some coordination. Bretton Woods was their attempt at solving this for nations, and Bancor is ours at solving this for people. Bernard passed away just this February, and his spirit continues to guide us today. While the Bancor Foundation does not currently operate or do business in the United States, it is our distinct privilege and honor to be here today and to be able to host, along with our generous sponsors, partners, and with all of you, this important commemoration of 75 years since the Bretton Woods Conference established our modern monetary system. When I came here to gain inspiration before Bancor's launch, and I saw the pictures on the walls and I heard the stories of the men that were here, I remembered the words of my neighbor, Steve Jobs. Everything you see around you was built by people no smarter than yourself. 2 years ago here, I could see each of you. And I could see us together having a new kind of conversation about what we believe our economy can be. What has changed since 1944 that might help us shed light on the next 75 years of global economic cooperation. What have we learned about the economic assumptions made by Nobel Prize-winning economists that have guided our economic ideas and policies until now? What have we learned about the invisible hand and where it steers markets? About free and fair enterprise and where it's most vulnerable to asymmetries? What have we learned about the Earth's natural resources and its ability and capacity to adapt to our impressive industrialization and our endless growth? About the trade-offs between profit and plastic? Or about the value of a tree versus lumber? What have we learned about globalization? How its benefits are distributed? Some of the great, the unanticipated, and the tragic transitions in this process. What have we learned about the interrelatedness of the media, of stories, and of culture to economics? And what have we learned about learning itself, about our own human evolution on this planet Earth, and about what it means to be human at all? For example, we now know that the human brain develops a majority of its lifelong capacity for learning in the first 3 years of life. For an economy that wants to maximize human potential, how should all young children be cared for? We warmly invite you to explore these topics and more throughout the program, so thoughtfully designed with you and with each of you in mind. Just as the global economy is a system of interrelated parts, so are we, and the communities that form between us. Over the next 4 days, we will highlight the intersectionality of mind and spirit, of local and global, between the individual and the collective, history and the future, people and the planet. We will hear an insider's perspective on the institutions of Bretton Woods from Larry Summers, former Secretary of the Treasury, and thank you so much for being here. An indigenous perspective on the ancient wisdom that brought us here, under the stars, or under the cover near the stars, with Sherry Mitchell, author of Sacred Instructions. John Rogers, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, will share the power of perspectives and how the Defense Department and others use whole systems design to try and solve wicked problems. Meg Lunziger, former US Executive Director of the IMF, also created here 75 years ago. And Stephanie Flanders, head of Bloomberg Economics, will share the Bretton Woods Compendium that you all received in your welcome bags, a compilation of economic thought leadership from around the world marking this historic occasion. And thank you for those compendiums so much. Rian Eisler, author of The Real Wealth of Nations, will share insights on the crucial components of economic activity that are currently missing from the models, such as the work performed in households by parents and caretakers. Saeed Dalabani, author of Memenomics, will introduce spiral dynamics, a view of our economic paradigms in the greater journey of human progress. Charles Eisenstein, author of Sacred Economics, will bring ecology back to economy. Activists DeRay McKesson and Boniface Mwangi from Kenya will discuss how developed nations can better cooperate with emerging markets. Doug Rushkoff, renowned media theorist, will look at how new information platforms are shaping access to and understanding of the evolving digital economy. Finally, Amanda Ravenhill, Executive Director of the Buckminster Fuller Institute, will offer the great futurists' insights on where we go from here. There are macro sessions with incredible speakers, such as an off-the-record discussion on the evolution of central banks with folks from the European Central Bank and the US Federal Reserve. Topical deep dives with experienced practitioners focused on issues like governing the commons. Intimate firesides will explore the edges of gender economics and technological disruption. Expertly facilitated working groups are here for those who want to roll up their sleeves and shape real interventions that we can help steward. Wellness activations encourage us to stay healthy and stay balanced, to get outside in the rain, and to look inside. Talented musicians will remind us that the economy also produced the piano, the cello, the violin, the saxophone, and more, and that our human biology makes us uniquely capable of creating and being affected by music. We've designed a local and sustainable menu to truly nourish us through these full days and nights. And we've gone, alongside many of you, to tremendous lengths to ensure that more voices are here at these tables than at the original Bretton Woods. There is still so much more work to do, and we humbly ask you to notice who is missing and share with us your thoughts. We could not be more committed to seeing blind spots, to leveling the playing field, and to including all people and perspectives in these important conversations. It is a labor of love, and like all ecosystems, a continuous calibration. We beckon you here to choose your own adventure and to go on a learning safari. Examine the parts and the whole around and within us, to discover why any of the people you meet are here, and to be open to examining your own perspectives. To engage not only your mind, but your heart, your body, your voice, and your inner ears. To listen deeply to others whose opinions you may disagree with. Listen to nature, to the sound meditation, and listen to yourself. Because the economy is our belief system. So what do you believe? Exactly 75 years ago today, Henry Morgenthau, then U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, stood in this place, or near to this place, and he made the following closing statement to end the 3-week gathering. We spared you. I am gratified to announce that the conference at Bretton Woods has successfully completed the task before it. It was, as we knew when we began, a difficult task involving complicated technical problems. We came here to work out methods which would do away with economic evils, the competitive currency devaluation and destructive impediments to trade, which preceded the present war. We have succeeded in that effort. And so, where their work left off, ours begins. Equipped with diversity of opinions, with insights from history and wisdom from nature, with men and women together, with new technologies and data, with the creativity of the human spirit, and with the same power to create our stories, our culture, and our economy as everyone who came before us. We hope that you will leave here as inspired as we are that you've arrived. Welcome, and on behalf of the entire BW75 Dream Team, thank you for being here.